Nicolas.
Hello,
Nice to be
Highko.
in your Meeting of the Mind studio.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the Meeting of the Mind office and studio and a bedroom as well.
Yes, exactly. So before this interview, we had like many conversations about past times and life and what
Yes.
when we were meeting and what we're going to talk about in the interview. It was very interesting. I had a good fun to go back in the time also with you to wake up old memories.
Yes, I mean for me, if I was like 20 years old and Highko was interviewing me, I would be shitting my pants, you know. But I'm not. I'm
But
glad.
luckily you're not 20 anymore, you know. So
I'm glad we are doing it now, where we know each other more and have lived more together. You know.
So tell me, the first question I ask is like, how did you get in touch with music the first time that music gave you something?
Okay, so I have asked everyone this question, and it's funny that for me, I need to now I realize what I did to everyone. You know? I need to dig very deep. So if I have to say like really quick some moments that I can remember, like. For sure, my dad was a big influence in my home. He was blasting music, radio, vinyls, cassettes. So this guy was there, you know. I can remember since the beginning that there were some tracks that he played that I like and some that I didn't. Since I was very young.
And what kind of music did you listen to?
So like, okay, Phil Collins is the first moment I remember of like, this is music and I like it. And I must have been like 4 years old, and I remember, and I'm pretty sure, man, it must be one of my oldest memories, because I remember coming into consciousness, you know, like I was there, I wake up from my room, I stand near the stairs to hear the music better, and I had to ask my mom, like, what is happening, you know, like, and the answer was, this music, you know, this is Phil Collins.
That's
and
nice.
It was the cheesiest track is One More Night, that one. It's like the cheesiest, most soft track, but it had already some synthesizers and some, you know, very 80s production of electronic music. So there, first moment of music in my life. Then I need to jump to maybe like when I'm 11 or 12, and I can remember more my life and what I was choosing, and Queen. There was Queen, Full Power. And again, something very melodical, kind of cheesy, but it was what was playing in my home and what I could have, you know. This was some CD that I stole from my parents. And then me finally choosing what I like has to be Nirvana. The first time I think I went and I bothered my mom that I wanted to go and buy an album, must have been, like maybe in the times of the Nirvana Unplugged that I've seen it on TV.
Okay.
So I was like 10 years old in 1994. So I'm pretty sure they are 10, 11. I saw it on TV. I saw the Unplugged actually, and I started the other way around. I met the Unplugged and I thought they were more like that. And I bought the first album and I was some punk
like this
insanity that was distorted, and I loved it, you know. And I was like, oh wow, okay, like. And then I started to read interviews about Kurt Cobain, and I became fascinated, you know, with this guy that was such a freak and had become so big, and of course the tragedy, you know, that he killed himself. So there, I think with Nirvana was also the first time I became interested in like cultural movements, you know, like the grunge scene, the punks. I wanted to understand the influence, you know. So already I remember like being 11, 12 years old and like not only liking the music, but I was buying like the documentary about punk, and I was buying every magazine I could that had interviews of all the scene, and I like already this idea of like the scene.
Yeah.
So,
but the Nirvana, for example, was more later than the real punk.
yes,
called
exactly.
scene, like
so
Emils
when Nirvana made an interview and he would talk about his influence, then I discovered Sex Pistols, Black Flag, you know, and then when the Sex Pistols talk about someone, so I love already this, and I was so into it, and my family was into it too. So
Which part of your family?
Definitely my dad and my uncle. So the brother of my mother became good friends with my dad. Actually, it's my stepdad, but he was there with me all my life.
Oh.
So they had like a very good connection. They were kind of, not a big difference of age. So the music was everything they could share. So my uncle was single and came to my home, and my uncle showed me Cypress Hill, Prodigy, Marilyn Manson. With Nirvana was like, I was too young to get the moment when he was still living and part of it. So then I was looking for something else, because I was reading all these stories of this guy that unfortunately was dead and I couldn't follow,
Yeah.
So Marilyn Manson, on the contrary, it caught me like on 12, 13, super young, super impressionable, and my uncle talked about him like, what a freak. But me, I was like, okay, I'm gonna check it out. My uncle was not listening to Marilyn Manson, but he did listen to Nine Inch Nails, which is the biggest influence in a way of the early Marilyn Manson work. So I knew Front 242, Einsturz der Neubauten, and Skinny Puppy, and Ministry, and all this my uncle was listening.
Okay.
And my uncle was like playing in a punk band also. So definitely my uncle
show you the dark side of music.
He had a good taste, man. I have to say, like he was a guy that had a good taste. And I would say all my family, my mother, maybe not so much with music, but she was architect and she was a nerd and she liked to read and go deeply, and everyone with good taste. And then with Marilyn Manson, it's like not only I discover, okay, there is cool music that is so dark and you can directly make it evil, which really shocked me in the beginning, but I loved it. I was very afraid when I saw the video clip when I was 11 or 12, but in a new way that I had never been afraid. Afraid and at the same time so seduced by it, by the power of being a freak, and also everything, being shocking, being half naked, being covered of tattoos. Like there was something about this guy in that time that it really inspired my own transformation in life too. And it's like the music, okay, he had like 2 or 3 albums that are really good, but it's hard to say that now I listen to Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, sure.
But there, man, there it was like, it became my life complete. Also because he talked about magic, he talked about Aleister Crowley, he talked about that you can change the world and yourself with magic and music, and of course he mentioned drugs too and altered states. And even though he was like this industrial metal guy, I read his biography, for example, and there he talks about acid, he talks about mushrooms. So he was like a dark guy, but he was into like tripping when he was younger.
Yeah, clearly he was a smart type of freak.
Yes, and that shaped my life hardcore. And it's interesting, I haven't thought about this moment in a long time. Only when we prepared the interview, I thought about it. I had a moment that I would consider like again when I was very young, that I listened to Phil Collins. I was like, oh wow, this is music. When I was like 11 or 12, I had like, this is internet. And the moment I had it was when I realized I could connect with other people that think like me and feel like me, and like, that was so important. I went to a school that I connected with no one, and then I went online and I met all the freaks and I had the best time ever.
So tell me, you was mentioning before that you organized what you do now, with this Meeting of the Minds channel. Basically, you did all your life. You started already with this Marilyn Manson topic.
Yes,
that you made a
site.
Tell me about. Yeah.
Man, I don't know if you remember GeoCities.
Yes.
Okay, so I made a GeoCities page inside the music.
This is 20 years.
Yes, this is really
about 20 years back.
I would say this is probably 1996 when he released the second album, or maybe 97. And because also my email, the same email I have from now, is from there. So I made something called the Marilyn Manson community. And there was for me
it's like a fan page.
Yes, it was like a fan page, but for me I had like this moment that my mind blew up, because my idea, of course it never worked, but my idea was that people would send the material and we would all together make the page. I was still very naive and I didn't understand that what it meant. You know, many people have done this before. You know, collectives working together. But me, it was like I felt like I had discovered the idea that day. You know, like it was like a new continent because no one told me about it, and I guess I put the pieces together. But that was my whole point: to work with a team of people that like the idea, to be part of a scene, and in the end, like Marilyn Manson became the excuse to learn how to do a website, how to manage a forum, how to have a newsletter. And
so, how old were you when you made this?
12, maybe.
Wow,
something like this.
Oh, that's impressive.
Yeah, like
12 is.
And I couldn't stop it. Like it's not like I did this sometimes and then I forget it. I was.
So when did you first time that you get in contact with psytrance?
Maybe I can tell you how I met Matthias because that's a big part.
Of course.
And so it's like Marilyn Manson. I tried to do the website, but not much happened because it wasn't that good. But I was still looking for a way to get related to music. So I tried to have a band with a friend that he was a neighbor from, he lived just like 1 block away. And this guy was already making music with computers. I had maybe for 2 or 3 years, like a band trying to do Marilyn Manson style music with computers, with synthesizers. I went to a school and I was like in first year and this guy was in the last one. He was like 4 years older than me. But this guy, I don't know, he liked me, he saw me as a freak, and he took care of me and put me in the band even if I didn't know how to do anything. You know, I was just like there doing something. But there I learned, reason. I learned how to use a sampler.
But what kind of band was that?
It was more like industrial.
So they had instruments,
full power, like
and the drummer,
everything.
And then they had schedule when we're gonna meet.
We tried.
Better not drunk.
You know, we tried, and I would say that they were more serious, and many of them end up becoming quite serious people. Not in music, but in life. You know, like some in engineering and shit like that. But these guys were, I was lucky, they were the only freaks of my whole fucking school, and they liked me even though I was young and I didn't know so much.
And how did you meet Matthias then?
And then, so I had that short experience that happened nothing. We never played, we never made an album, but at one point, Matthias went to this really cool school. That was like a public school, but like leftist ideas and a little revolutionary vibe. So there was it was like a hangout in our neighborhood, and also it was cool because for me it was the place to, I don't know, go and meet girls that have piercings and dyed hair. I went to a private school with everyone in uniform. So Matti, was already, people had like a beard already.
Sure.
They were so fucking cool, and me, I was like a little boy that went, to a private school, and I had no idea, how to relate to people like that. But there in that neighborhood I got the chance, and there I started to date a girl, which Matti was a friend of this girl. And then for that relation that was super long in my life, of course I started to meet Matti more and more, and in then me and Matti, it was like an immediate alliance, like Matti was doing exactly the same I was doing, like all the day on internet, doing websites, trying to make music, not being very good at it, but really wanting, to do it. And they needed a drummer. So then I pretended I knew how to play the drums because my uncle had a drum kit, and then I was in the band. And then I practiced a little on my uncle's house, and that band came nothing out of it. But it was cool. It was like really trying finally to become like musician, I would say. Like we would practice, we would try to get better. We already got into the feeling, like listening to the rehearsal and then practicing more. So a little similar idea of like doing electronic music, but still without knowing the tools. And then slowly, because I was recording before, Matti was, like interested in computers. He was video gaming, this and that. But I don't know, we never thought about it until we started to go to parties, and there finally, now that I meet Matti, I meet psychedelic trance in the same moment that Matthias. It was together, like.
So you discovered the experience with your friends?
I think we were like high in. I remember one time we were like had nothing to do, and there was one of our friends really want to fuck one random girl, and he dragged all of us to some like meeting of people that we didn't know anyone. And for me, it was like, what? This is fucking nerds. Because they were really nerds, you know. Most of them were like not very good looking and fat and really talking about computer. They were real nerds. So I was like, why did we come here, you know? And they were listening to psychedelic trance. And I fucking hated it that time. I was like, fucking nerds and their music. And then, like, another time, we took acid, you know, and then we listened to that music again with all these people that we have met. And yeah, like, I would say that probably me and Mati had like the explosion even in the same moment, you know, because probably we took like some paper together and then...
And it was a special
exactly, you know, and then some music was being played and there, yeah, it's like, I would say probably 2000, no, maybe like 98 or 99, we went with all these new people we met that they were also involved like into hacking and they were really good with computers. So that part we really connected. And Matthias also, Matthias is super gifted with computers. So we started to hang out more because of that, not because of the music. But then they said, there is a party, come. And I think we went to some shitty, random, free open air that I'm sure the music was horrible and I don't even remember.
But in that time, I bet
but it was killer.
It was not horrible music, it was some new shit for you.
Yeah, it was like, I also like the vibe, you know, like being open air, like all that early discovery of trance. Even if it was in some shitty party in Argentina, I felt the vibe, you know, I said, okay, there's something here. And I would say that I like more the vibe than the music in the beginning.
Yeah.
This happened to you too. I'm from the 90s where being dark and sad was the coolest thing.
Yes,
know?
But this music...
And this music makes you dance, you know?
But this music that I got introduced to, what they call trance, was the first thing here in Berlin, was the... more like this cheesy stuff that everybody listens in the beginning. I didn't like Paul van Dyk type of trance.
I mean, I like it,
you know,
as a kid likes anything maybe, but...
I mean, I'm 10 years older than you.
Yeah.
And it was a bit earlier than me, for me, but still for me it was the moment that I could still distance the thing between this cheesy commercial stuff and then suddenly this thing that makes you look at your friend and you're like, wow.
Yeah, the bass, for example.
Yeah, but this is some... for freaks.
Yes. This also, for me, it was like the natural evolution, you know, like me, you know, metal. I was also like a little involved in metal scene with Matthias trying to do like this more like new metal band. But it was still about being freaks, you know, also with Marilyn Manson, it was still about being a freak and about being different and about being super smart.
I think also there's nobody in the scene who started to make the music because of the background of having a proper serious job.
Exactly.
No,
I mean there might be a few cases, but for sure there has to be some connection with the first years of your life.
Also. Yeah, exactly. You don't start making music without never heard it.
Yeah, I mean, of course. For sure. And now maybe that there's little kids that they only listen to electronic music since they're born, maybe because even their parents are freaks. Then I want to see those kids know what happens. But me back then, I have to say that yeah.
So tell me, your first psytrance party, and you were already involved with Matthias, making bands, playing instruments. So tell me now, from your first psytrance party, when was the moment Megalopsy was born?
So I mustn't have taken, like we went to Creamfields, you know, Creamfields? It was the most cheesy UK house festival you can imagine. And it came to Argentina and people treated it like the second coming of Christ, bro. And it was the worst music, but it was Paul Oakenfold, you know, all the guys.
Okay, like just techno thing.
Yeah. So that was in 2001, and then there we discovered, okay, like getting high and dancing is the best thing in the world, but still no mystical part to it. But then me, especially me, I every time that we were in a party and I was just supposed to have fun, I would go into these super intense like knowledge trips. So then me, I was always like, you know, I prefer like the more shamanic shit, and we went a lot to clubs and enjoyed it, you know, like normal teenagers. But I remember, still, even me, I was more deep into the trip. It was Matthias, was Matthias purely from the musical side in one random party in a horrible club called Big One that was like a dungeon of evil, you know, and music, but
in Argentina.
In Argentina, yeah, in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I'm talking like 2002, maybe.
Okay.
And there, Matti said like, Nico, why don't we make electronic music? And me, I was like, ah, yeah, it's true, you know. Like.
So now tell me, from you met Matthias till you was 2002, how long time passed?
No, well, the thing is that with Matti, we never stopped having contact since we were 15, which was, let's say, somewhere around 97 or 8, until, you know, we were always friends. We just didn't do music anymore because the band disappeared, and then we...
But the band you founded when? When did the band disappear? Just to have a little timeline.
Like, let's imagine that probably 99 or 2000 we were finishing school, and also we didn't play in the band anymore. 2001 Argentina explodes with a big social crisis, so that's why I can remember. So I'm pretty sure that it was like 2001 we already made our first tracks. So I would say that from that party to saying let's do music, maybe not even 1 year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you come up with a project name Megalopsy, which was the project name from you and Matthias in the beginning?
Yes, exactly.
I remember when you came first time to Europe, you was called Megalopsy, and it was two Argentinian fellows.
I mean, back in the day, me and Matti were like, we were always very independent, but we always had something together. Like we had websites, it was always something we work on. So then we started to make music together by his inspiration in his home, because in my home there was no chance we could do it. So basically I did music with Matti because also I didn't have a place.
Okay.
And then like at one point Matthias' computer collapses, and he couldn't do music for a long time. So we had all this music, and he like started to work, and we kind of got a little distance in that time. But then when we started to talk, I was already thinking of a name and all this, and like we never had like a brainstorming session. Me, I was just looking for a Latin dictionary for cool words in Latin.
Okay.
And I saw
Megalopsy. Find the thrash metal.
Exactly. I took it from the metal guys. Exactly. Like the computer collapses, so I was doing music on my own, but still with the idea we continue. I one day randomly take a Latin dictionary, and I find the word megalopsia, which was like a problem in your eyes, that you see objects bigger than what they are. So I thought, okay, this is very similar. We had already taken acid and mushrooms, I think, at that point, because all of this, like me and Matti really grew up together. So everything we experienced together, like, oh man, Pepito found mushrooms. Okay, let's take them together. You know,
sure. Like me, I had my buddy.
This is, acid. Okay, we take it together. Yeah. So I think every first time of everything was with Matti. So then one of the first times we went to some party, and me had this total space breakdown that, man, I couldn't figure out my size and the proportion with the room. I didn't understand if I was big or small. I didn't understand if I was like lying in the couch or in the roof, or if I was standing. So it was total, instead of time, space collapse, and I didn't even know how to put my body. So I remember Alice in Wonderland when she grows big and small when she eats a mushroom. So then I took that idea, that breakdown of space, to this concept of megalopsy, so that's how it started.
Very interesting, because I have this experience when I was a kid. Not necessarily this fever dreams that you have, which you consider psychedelic.
Yes.
I will tell you that later, that this is psychedelic things. That I had psychedelic experience was exactly this, what you call megalopsy now. That I was in the room laying, and when I was tired, then the room seemed to get bigger, and I lost proportion of my size compared to the room.
Yeah.
Sometimes I got bigger and the room got smaller, but mostly it was opposite, that the room just suddenly gets bigger and I feel like a little Smurf.
Yes.
Getting smaller. I didn't know that this has this name.
Well, actually it's not. Actually it's just a problem in your eye that you see things bigger. It's just that some problem in your cornea.
Okay, that's like this is not this effect that you get from tiredness or...
Me, I invented I stretched the concept to mean this.
Very nice.
You know,
I like
so,
it.
but actually now there is even a better definition for megalopsy that I never thought about, which was basically this Alex, he told me, you know, like megalo means great. I mean, it means big, but also means great. And psyche means soul. So megalopsy is like great soul. You know, like Mahatma.
This is the
like the more holy version.
The holy version.
Then I'm like, okay, let's do it. This is the meaning, you know, like. So now, if I would answer the real one, I guess I would say that. But I like it because this concept exists. You know, like Mahatma Gandhi or whatever.
Yeah.
Maha is great and Atma is soul. So that concept already exists in Sanskrit. You know. So then I was like, oh fuck, okay, I discovered some universal shit here. So yeah, and there, like we started with Matti doing music together, full power, I would say, until like when there more or less we can go where we met you, because it's not many years after that. Like me and Matti, basically, let's say 2001 or 2, we make our first tracks. We meet another guy. There was 3 guys in Megalopsy actually. There is a third guy that you never even seen his face or a picture because he disappeared so quickly out of our lives that there's no record almost, except the first album. But this guy knew how to use Ableton Live. And this guy knew how to use compressors and EQs. He had gone to some like electronic music production school that was just starting in Argentina that now is pretty big. So this guy actually upgraded us a lot. Like I didn't know anything, man. Really, until I met this guy, I would say I never like EQ anything.
But this is I think,
like for
even when I started, there was no YouTube that you can learn anything.
Yeah, I didn't even know you had to do it.
The biggest matter was that you know the EQ to make the cutoff in the lows. If the sound swaps over the bass line and suddenly you don't hear the kick and bass anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
So much knowledge I also could gather to make my first.
No, me, I didn't know. Like really, I didn't care. For me,
but it was not important in that.
Exactly.
It was not really important.
It was like
the
listening.
The production and the sound came with the second wave of.
Yeah.
Okay, now we know how to make psychedelic, but now we want it sounding good.
Yeah, because also that happened to us. Luckily, we were in the break, no? Like when me and Matti decided to start to really make music, it was already slowly getting some interest in music, you know? We didn't like Goa. We were not trying to make Goa. It was already a little dark, like the metal we were doing.
Yeah.
So even though we didn't release anything there, we were making dark trance in 2002 or 2003 that never got released anywhere. But there in 2003, for example, we listened to everything, you know, like Psychotic Micro, and like slowly discover through internet Hack Flags, and like we very quickly decided, okay, there is all this melodic stuff, and then there is all this freaky shit.
Yes.
And we were, okay, this is what I like immediately. So when we did music with Matti, I would say that the confusion moment of I don't know what style I'm doing was super short, like maybe 1 week, you know. Like the second week we said, no, shouldn't we make it like darker and like what we always do, you know? And we're like, yeah, okay, yeah, you know, minor melodies, and it should have like weird sounds, and there was.
For me, it was actually the reason why I made music.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like, I don't remember a moment where I was like, no, yeah, we should do like a super melodic astral projection.
Because there was this tracks that was so nice, and suddenly this stupid melody is coming.
Yes,
you know, and there's this break coming.
I mean,
there was like no breaks, no melodies, and then you have proper psytrance. This was my idea.
I'm sure there was like 2 or 3 months of my life that I listened to astral projection and everything, and I enjoyed it truly. But I hardly remember those moments. But I remember, no, I download MFG.
But this was listening.
Yes, but...
This was not going to the party and consuming it. For me, I realized in this moment, okay, this is kind of nice, you can listen to it.
Yeah, also because in Argentina,
also the time of astral projection is really before everything.
Yes, yeah, sure.
There was not even existing. And to be honest, when I started to be DJ, it was hard to find good quality tracks, psytrance tracks. So what I did, I took SoundForge and I cut the melody out.
Really?
Tune. I placed it back together, and I played like fucking cheesy tracks from Eskimo and Asterix without this melody and without the break.
Excellent. Man, Gil was doing exactly that, no? Like taking the pitch modes and just taking the loop and cutting the melodies and the vocals. Yeah, hacking the matrix.
I was hoping, man, if I could meet one of these guys who makes the music, I could tell him to make the music without the melody and the breaks.
Can you bounce it without the melody?
Yes, just for me, man. This is perfect.
For sure, there was never a moment that I was like, yeah, maybe we do some melodic and more happy stuff. Never. I don't remember with Mati ever doubting that we wanted to do darker, and then maybe it was 2003 we finally do a demo with this fair guy, and he was very important there. He's in all the tracks, and when we actually there's even tracks where I'm not there and he did it with Mati.
Okay.
So also there I would say that even though Mati we were working together, we were still very independent and we had our own trips and our own tracks, but we were putting everything in the name Megalopsy back then.
So now to get back in the timeline, you met Matthias and you founded Megalopsy.
Yeah, that 2002, let's say.
2002. When was your first release?
2003 we do this demo that was not a release in any label. We put it on the internet.
Okay.
But there we were lucky. Because we had all these connections with me and Matthias and another friend, we had like a website where we recorded videos from MTV, especially from new metal. There was a huge scene of new metal at the time, Korn, Limp Bizkit, Deftones.
Yes.
So we recorded all these videos and we uploaded them. And this website got huge. We got mentioned in like some radio in Argentina, but this was mostly Mati's work. He was a big guy, let's say, in the pirate scene, him and his friend. So actually our other friend, which is also called Matthias, he had a very good connection with CZ, you remember? It was like a pirate group that released MP3s of Trance. Like at one point they had like every single release of Trance. And it was a very big
What's
group.
the name again?
CZ.
No, I remember SoulSeek.
No, it was not a program. It was like a group that creates those files.
Okay, I don't know.
Like the motherfucking
I was more the leech that take all the shit from the other guys.
So we were on the other side. We were like creating content for the leeches on video, and that's why we knew the music people. So we had access to like crazy FTPs with everything from the internet there to download. And there, those guys, they like our music, they master it, and they released it as a normal release in the same stream as everything else, as Astral Projection, whatever got released in those times, Psychotic Micro, everything was there. So many people knew us suddenly. And this was pure luck and something that this other guy that even has nothing to do with trance arranged for us, just because we were part of this piracy group, Okay. It was in IRC, not even a forum. It was in this weird chat that you use like a terminal mode, we were using Linux, we were really into the back end of internet back then. So then through that we got super good position, and there we got the first email from a label that was Trishula Records. Some German and Dutch guy together, they started this label, and the mission of the label was to be darker, already from the beginning. So they made a compilation and they asked us for a track. And there, they took one from this demo, and we released it there.
This was 2004. 2004.
Yes.
So you.
That's the first release.
You started also to make parties in.
I was already doing parties since
in Buenos Aires.
Yes, I would say my first party probably was 2001. Also, because I had this experience that. We knew all this music, we went to parties, and when I finished school, my family gave me as a gift a trip to Europe to visit my uncle and backpacking. So there, me, 18, 19-year-old me, went to a proper Psytrance festival. I went to some party in France and I saw GMS and Alien Project and Neuromotor, but in 2001, yes. The proper serious good moment of the music changing. So I was thinking, okay, it's all this Goa bullshit. Then when I went to the party, I was like, next fucking new generation sounds, kick and bass, it was serious, the sound design, the structure. So then I went back to Argentina and I went insane, I started to make parties. I started a website. We started Megalopsy much more seriously. Like that trip to Europe for me was very important because it gave me like a goal, like, yeah, one day I'm going to come here again, I'm going to come to Europe again, but I'm going to come
prepared.
I'm going to come, I'm going to fucking arrive to Europe.
Yeah, and here you are, actually.
I loved it. I went insane there. Like, I also, how it was, the trance scene in 2001.
Yeah, sure.
It was magic, like, of course, maybe it was because it was young, but it was so new, man. The music was so new.
It was magical. I don't know, because now the kids who is now 18, 20,
I don't know,
they are born with the parents listening to even the music that we make already. But this is like,
yes,
not even old school.
Yeah.
So the people that grew up with this music being normal, they cannot imagine that how it was for us. That you listen this sound, it was like, my friend had the definition that they called it, this is the engine sound of the mothership that we are from.
That's excellent.
And that's why we feel so attracted to it. And when you hear the sound, like in the forest, we was not having a Google Maps fucking link. We went to look for some toilet paper hanging on the tree, and we knew we were on the right way.
Yes.
And then you lost the toilet paper from the tree, so you turn off the car and you stand on the...
Yeah, exactly.
And then you hear the spaceship.
Yeah,
the mothership,
and you see the lights.
Yeah,
man.
It's different energy than it is nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
When you have too many parties, too many artists, too many tracks. I mean, to get 10 tracks that you think is killer, you had to meet the guy in Goa, the other guy in Goa. To meet the guys in Goa was also difficult because there was no mobile phone.
Yes.
So you had to meet them in the juice corner. Then you go with the guy for make recording session.
Well,
in the AC broken power cut with the DAT recorders and the mini discs and
sweating together,
sweating like hell,
recording tracks.
And then you recorded this guy 7 tracks. He says, "Well, I must go. Ciao."
Yeah,
so you just gave him 7 tracks, and then after you go with nothing, So it was not easy, and each track you recorded in the millennia phase, I would say.
Yeah.
Was precious track.
Yeah, where else to get it?
Yeah.
Well, so I can represent a lot the new generation, because even though maybe I was like a little advanced user of internet, that I knew directly the pirate groups that make the MP3s. So there you can see my side and how I got so far by using the new school. I didn't know anyone in Goa, but I still had all the releases because I had an FTP.
But this was the Soul Seeks.
No, I didn't. Like, I went through a very short period of using SoulSeek and Audio Galaxy, but as we were so into this hacking and all this bullshit, I never had to search so much. I would open a thing like this, a program, every release from every week, updated every week.
Well, I should have learned it before.
Man, and so
I always had to lick balls from the record shop here in Berlin.
Since 2001, we had everything. So then I think that's why also me and Matti, we were in a good position to spread the word of the scene.
Okay. So how was the birth of Dark Prism?
Okay, so everything I think come together because we were doing parties. I had like a website, but it didn't have a good name. It was like psytrance.com.ar. So I never thought, okay, I'm going to do a compilation called Psytrance. So we needed a label name. We had some music already. In all these parties, we also were slowly helping other producers to get better. Even back then, Matti had already had a few classes already. So me and Matti, 2002, 2005, let's say, we got established. And there, in 2005, we had the problem that we had released this album with Trishula Records. But then, when we were sending new music, they were I don't know how to say, criticizing our music a little and telling us, I don't like this so much and that. And me, I got annoyed very quickly. And I was like, okay, we should do a label. Matti was more let's try. But then at one point also he lost patience. Like the guy one time, we saw him like a killer track in my opinion for me that time. And the guy says, needs more abstract percussions, the guy told me. And then me, I was like, fuck you. Yeah, so then I laughed it. I never told him fuck you, but I was like, no. And then I also had the idea that we should do an Argentinian compilation and put Argentina in the map and put all our friends. So we made a very shitty compilation, I have to say, that was like super confused styles because it was everyone from Argentina. So it didn't have like
When was that?
2005 probably.
Okay.
And there...
What's the name of the compilation?
It's Amalgama.
We maybe can see a picture.
Yes, then I can put the picture. It's a horrible cover, to be honest.
No, it's just, to keep the timeline.
But there, for that venture, we needed a name. Because we wanted to do a compilation, Psytrance.com.ar didn't make sense. I wanted to do something with Mati. So it was with Mati that we said for sure we do a label. Mati had already started like an online forum for producers. So he was already with the idea of like a label. Me too. So then we started to talk. And the name, to be honest, I remember we were both working in IBM at the time. So he was somewhere on the computer in IBM, me too, because we didn't work together. We started to talk online, and I don't remember how we came. I wanted at least 2 words, and I like the idea of prism, and then like, okay, but it's dark, It was really as stupid as me liking the concept of prism, and then saying, but it should be dark, and 2 words is nice. So then we liked the idea of prism. It could be already a triangle, the logo.
Yeah, cool.
So I remember we making paint the first layout of the logo, and it was more or less like the logo we have today. And it sounded good, and the idea of combining Spanish with English, I thought it was cool. Like Dark Prism is not the same as Dark Prisma. But I also, there was an idea. Like a prism, I also thought, like normally a prism is like a way to, like you get one single beam that then is multiplied.
Yeah, but this is a prisma.
Exactly. So I like this idea and I like this concept. So definitely that's why
you basically stretch the sunlight into each spectrum.
Into the rainbow.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why we get the rainbows, no? Because the water makes a prism effect.
Yeah.
So I really like the idea of having a device that gets one signal and multiplies it.
Okay.
So then Prisma became my name as a solo producer for non-trance music. Already there, I think my first Prisma track is probably from 2002 too. I was making Megalopsy with Mati, and I was also making weird beats as Prisma then. So I was calling myself Prisma even there. My DJ name was Filtro, which means like filter. So I thought that filter was the way to... Like filter and prism were the opposites,
Yes,
like
one multiplies the other,
and the other one divides.
cuts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then I had all this transformation of discovering new music, even back then in 2005 and 6. Yeah, a very strong influence of other music, and I even was doing other music too already. I was like with a dub project and everything. So Prisma was a name I was using, and then with Mati I was like, there Prisma. I had this concept, so he liked it. So then, like, we decided right there that we would do a label to make this compilation. That then we, this compilation, I would say, it didn't help us so much. Like our first album, like when we released our first album in Trishula Records, we got very good reviews, and we got enough attention that we sold out the album. We got paid, like we couldn't believe it. We got also paid in that time. We were very young, and Argentina peso was like 4 times the money. So we went and we cashed out like 1,500 euro, and it was like 5,000, So we were like, bro. and this was pretty epic when we released this album, we get paid. I get like a check, and I go to the bank to cash it out. And that guy reads, of course, the reason is because of royalties, blah, blah. And the guy says, you make music, that's cool, blah, blah. And then when he gives me the money, he says, look, man, this is confirmation that you should keep doing what you're doing. Like this random bank teller tell me this. And again, I can connect that to Phil Collins' moment Marilyn Manson community moment, and there, you know, like I had
wow,
again
the first money, you keep going. What you doing?
And it was like an alien coming inside the bank teller to tell me keep doing. You know, it was the aliens that come through the bank teller to keep me going. You
Very
know,
nice.
because this guy didn't need to say anything. You know, and I never saw him again in my life. And he said only one phrase, you know, and it was that one. And me, when he told me this, I really had like those Zen moments, you know, like I saw, yeah. You know, like I saw the future, you know, I saw, it's coming. So there, it was very strong confirmation. And then when we had some problems, we needed the label anyways, because we had a lot of music, you know, and slowly other people were doing music too. So we made a compilation that, again, it didn't really go anywhere. It didn't help us so much. We spent money, but we started it. And we had a website, and we had this, you know, aesthetic and logo. So then the first real release that is important from us, from Dark Prisma, was Frantic Noise solo album. And that album also influenced a lot of people in Argentina. It's like suddenly there, very slowly, we became like a band that people follow in Argentina, because we were the only people doing these websites and this particular aesthetic. We were also trying to do outdoor parties with different music. We had slowly a following, and in those people it was Gaston Willowiz, Martin Glosolalia, and of course some guys that unfortunately you haven't met so much, that was Pandora's Box. Mm-hmm. So all this was even more reasons to do the label, no? Like we made that release of Frantic Noise, and slowly it's like people start to come to us. But actually, there it was mostly like me and Matias, the producers of Dark Music of Argentina, and we made that album with Mati. It went okay, we got very good reviews, we sold some, we saw it was working. So then me and Mati had been working for 2 years in IBM, and there one day, I don't remember when I decided it exactly, but there was like a combination of things happening in my life, that one relationship ended. Suddenly in Argentina, I noticed I couldn't do much, and I was working this office job that was not so. I mean, I could have advanced and make a lot of money, but I was just starting, so there was nothing I was losing. But there I go and I tell Mati like, hey, man, I'm going to quit my job and we go to touring to Europe. And Mati looks at me like, what? Really? Like we're doing this? Like he didn't. Like when I say him, you know, he was like. He never thought, oh no, what are you saying?
They didn't really want to say no.
Yeah, exactly. Like Mati was like, oh, okay, fuck, we have to do this now. You know, like Mati took it like, whoa, okay, this guy is like really saying it. And I saw him into that. I kind of told him like, I don't give a fuck, bro. I'm going to go. You know, I don't know, bro. I have to do it. You know, I have to do it. I'm going to. And Mia was like, really? And I would say that it took him maybe like 30 seconds to already start to imagine it. I mean, I was like, hey man, let's fucking do it. You know, we do one tour, you know, I start to send emails and we see what happens. So there, I was like, let's say I had good experience making parties in Argentina. I was already in Isra Trance. I was already on Goa Base. I had booked Infected Mushroom, Neuromotor, GMS for some big organizer. I was working as a booker for some guys. I was doing my own party. So let's say that I knew how to do everything in the scene, you know, like I knew how to make a flyer, I knew how to make a website, I knew how to make a release already because I had started my own label. So let's say that I had everything ready there to go. And also the situation in Argentina, that 2001 was the last time of Argentina as a good economic country. So it was like basically, man, like a line going down to hell. So from 18 to 20, when we did the album and all of this, we rented a house. And then, there was like the end of the line. And that's why we go to Europe, you know, because what else to do? There was no way to evolve in life. It was just changing shitty shops in Argentina. So there, we send emails, man, like for 6 months. We plan it, you know, I like we talk in that moment. And then from there on, we made an Excel file with emails from Goa Base with like every single country. Like I remember I bought a map to really do visualizing exercise, like, you know, like this is I'm going to conquer the, you know, like
a proper detective.
Yes, really. Like, I'm going to study the fuck out of this. I'm going to understand how I can do a tour there. And because I had already, again, when I went alone to Europe when I was 18, my family told me, okay, you can do whatever you want. You have to decide. You have a month and we give you this money. So there, I already knew Europe. I already know how to travel. I already know how to take a train, you know, take a bus. I already knew how safe it was, how easy it is to find a place to sleep. So I had the confidence. And Mati, no, he had never been. Me, that's why I could say it, I guess. And then, man, yeah, really, Excel file, million emails, Goa-based, spamming the fuck out of internet, bothering people on Messenger so much. That's how I added you on Messenger. I found somehow your contact, somehow, but we hadn't talked yet. I think I had, like, respectfully say hello, but nothing. And then in 2006, I had managed to get like 10 bookings in like a period of 2 months or something like this. So yeah, we had been planning it all along. I never say anything in my job, but one day I was like, yeah, sorry, I'm going to quit. But he said, yeah, sorry, I'm going to quit. And like, you know, like, then we start to like really prepare for camping also, because the idea was to go to Boom Festival and all this, you know, which was of course the year that you played in Boom as well.
Okay.
So yeah, imagine, you know, us, like, we had, you know, 10 random bookings that I didn't know anyone. And I also was like arranging to stay with people that I'd never met, you know. So we really dive into the void there. Because the first time I went to Europe, it was my uncle taking care of me for the first weeks, explaining me everything. But then I went alone with a total plan that I had made myself, with the scene still not really existing, with still no dark side scene also really existing. So the people that had like replied my emails were interested either because we were not taking a lot of money or probably they knew, but we didn't, you know, I didn't feel like they really knew so much, you know. They were just like, okay, let's do it. You know, we had like the fucking backpack and the tent, man, and they would bring the virus and the controller, like a stupid amount of like really playing, like I destroyed my virus a lot playing here. And there we finally, like, what I can remember that is most important of the first tour in Europe is Boom Festival. Like, we didn't play there, but I went there, and already, I think you even played like the first night, no, the second.
I think the second night.
Yeah, the second.
Thursday it starts, Friday I played or something like that.
Already the first day was like all the American guys, which was, for me, I couldn't believe this music existed. You know,
But this was also special, like time,
yes.
And the energy of the people, everybody you meet was like,
man,
electrified.
It was like, you know, too much good vibes.
And the sound system they had there was
the first time function one.
The first time function one you never see in your life before.
Yeah,
you
man.
hear this, you automatically.
Yes, I swear to you that I felt the DNA reprogramming. You know, like I really felt like there. So I went there, and the lineup was amazing. I mean, I can mention some names for people that don't know, but the first night was like Greg on Earth, and then the second night was you, and it was supposed to be Kinshasa, but you playing his place, if I'm not mistaken. And then it was also Bjorn, I think, playing.
Bjorn played before me.
Yeah, exactly. So high tech, you know, like a freshly squeezed high tech, you know, like we were drinking it. And then it was like, on the other night was the Rango Sick Penta. Like, it was the proper update of not only dark music exists, but dark music has different styles and different colors. Yes. And
so it was like at least existing on this festival. Nowadays there's nothing to get.
Actually, Boom got a lot of shit for doing that lineup in 2006. Like, in the online comments, It was like a battle saying, why you put this demonic music every night? And me, I was like, bro, I was like praying to the gods of happiness every day, because it was such a bliss. And
for me as well, I was suddenly feeling like home.
Man,
else you go to this
bro, I was like dancing like I never danced. Like, there really I had like of course, like this, I don't know, maybe one day I will share there, but
at least I wonder that they don't make a second floor.
No,
because they make a second floor for everything.
Back then, they really believed that in that idea that there should be all kinds of music all the time, and they really like.
Yes, but nowadays it just vanished.
Yes, yeah. Now it's like it didn't work. Like clearly not everyone was so open, like, which is a pity, because boom, that year I think they really tried to do the best psychedelic festival ever possible. Like, if you remember the temple, of each fucking awesome floor, the chill out temple was insane. The one that you played in was like a full pagoda. Then the workshop area, for me there, that boom, for me definitely was the only boom where they got it right, man. They got, like the highest sense of the psychedelic scene there, also. Me, I was very, very deeply influenced by all the other side. I was sleeping most of the days in the workshop area, and because my tent was too hot, I couldn't find the place. No. And there I got to see, I don't know, for example, Daniel Pinchbeck, which is like a very modern writer of psychedelic experiences. And it was like, I had bought the book 1 month ago, and then, same with you, I had discovered Highko music like really maybe 3 months before, I think like literally, like, so I couldn't believe that I was there, like when the shit was happening, and that was very infectious for me, and that gave the color to all that trip in Europe, which there, of course, I would say that it made a huge impact, especially after meeting you guys and Kur, going to KMS for the first time. I already got into my music changed too. Definitely, I got more infected by high tech. And at the same time, Forest and everything was there on the side. But when I met you guys, I got super high techy sides.
But high tech there was just a way to explain that the music is fresh.
Exactly.
It was not a genre.
And it was also this music that doesn't bring you down.
We just called it high tech because it was new.
And already you guys had like a idea of how the music should be. You had I remember also like, you guys with Noise Poison, you had like the Noise Poison style. There was a way to treat music and to keep the energy going. And definitely for me in 2006, the key moments of that thing that changed and made me what I'm today is boom, getting that download of proper music, then finally coming to Berlin and seeing you guys in KMS, just the whole
KMS,
vibe.
Just to say for the people that KMS is the
yes, sorry. So we have shown in a previous episode actually, is the squad where Highko and actually many of the high-tech producers visit you there.
And we had a big squad.
It was there. Like 4 floors at least?
Or 5 floors, and there was a dentist.
Yes, there was a dentist in the middle. Yeah, for me, like to go to a squad. I had never been in a squad in my life. I had read about them. I had read about Berlin 1st of May. And I knew a little about the history because I was interested in punk movement and all this. So to go here and like first of all, someone first told me, the password is the birthday of Hoffman. Someone told me so.
So you need the password from the door.
Exactly. So to enter the building, I had to input.
You told me the story once and you forgot the birthday of Hoffman. So there was an internet cafe just next to it. So you went there, you give him 50 cents, you went online to check the birthday of Hoffman, and then you came in the house. Because we didn't have a bell.
Yes. Like in the first time someone told me, so luckily I remember, but I forgot.
This KMS time is also a very crazy time of my life also.
Man, for me to and also not to see your studio, like you were like living it, like in it, living it, and there, that also was like big impact. First of all, these old buildings from Neukölln and Kreuzberg, like I fucking love it.
But the flat we had is also not a normal flat. We had a 250 square meter.
Exactly. Like you had the insane
9 rooms.
Yes.
Then we had many floors of this.
Yeah, you had like basically a whole building that you guys controlled. Like me, I couldn't believe. Like me also, when I arrived here, I didn't realize how precious it was. and I really had the feeling that it was all the time like this, you know, and I just.
But it was when you were not there. It was
like
everybody staying there.
Yeah, exactly. It's true.
I mean, from Kinshasa to Penta,
Giuseppe,
the whole Parati crew, Giuseppe,
Atrium, Encephalopatisi.
Everybody I can think of,
everyone
was staying there.
Yes, actually.
And as long as you want, no problem.
Yeah, there was like a liberated living room that random people stay in, and there was no rules basically for a long. And only because you guys were so open. And you were one of the first ones also to even answer me a message and and like actually show signs that you were interested in knowing us. And you didn't know my music, you had no idea who I was, but you already knew I was from Argentina, and that was like, oh wow, crazy, you know, someone from Argentina. So then when we meet, it was Ankur that took us there. And so that very important moment, no, like meeting you guys here, seeing the squad, you know, in Karl-Marx-Strasse, seeing your studio, and also there you said, just finished this, and you played us 160 track, which I'm pretty sure is Locks and Keys. You showed us Locks and Keys finish there, you know, like I think I just need to do this and that, and like it was killer because you took us to the studio.
Nice that you remember this moment.
Man, I remember perfect because imagine it was like meeting
when was that
Marilyn Manson for me.
When was it now?
2006.
6
in I'm pretty sure August, because it was after this Funny Moon festival that we took the train to come here to Berlin, and we stayed with Ankur actually there, and it was Ankur that took us there, and you made us go into the studio and say, hey, actually you were cooking.
Was it living upstairs already or still
upstairs? Full upstairs. Okay. We go on the way up. We meet Dati there as well. We meet you. We talk. Justin comes there, and then at one point you started to cook, and you said something like, "Hey man, go to the studio and hit play." So there I went alone to the studio with Mati, and I was like, "Oh wow, cool!" And then I hit play, and it was the track. And then you come in and you listen with us, and I think you were like hitting something, and you said, I think it's finished. And me and Mati were like, bro, like, you know, like it was really, I hadn't listened anything, you know, so directly from the Cubase playing, you know, like I knew that it was new, you know, I knew who was you, Cosmo, I understood the difference of style, but not like that, bro, not like going to the house of the guy and hitting play the Cubase. You know? Like it was so cool you did that. For you was maybe the most normal moment. But for me, it was like, oh my God, you know, this guy's so open, and you know, like, wow, they're living it. So for me, like after I come back from that time of Europe, there was like, okay, now I dug in my heels super in, you know, like I become converted, you know, after Boom, after meeting you guys, it's like I got a little of everything, you know, how the scene could be, how you could live your life, how you should do the music, how you should behave, you know, like I got like really good inspiration, for, definitely with you guys in KMS, a little with you, a little with Patty and Justin from Mind Waves and Chill in Berlin, you know, like their conversations and their interest in other music.
And it was a whole thing.
It was incredible, you know.
Also with the other neighbor Basti.
Yeah, exactly.
Really good times.
And Basti was like still not living there, but Basti I think was also meeting you guys in the first moments around those times, no?
Yeah, but you moved there.
Yes, exactly.
And you stayed also many years.
Then we were like
following years. There.
Yeah, we were like the second generation of KMS in a way.
KMS was really like a psychedelic hotel.
100%.
Like somebody knocks on the door, and then his Penta and his wife. Hello guys, we're gonna stay here for 3 months.
People showed up without saying anything. Yeah. And you guys were used to it.
It was killer.
Yes.
Because it was always something happening, and the scared I got from this moment when I realized that the airport is the only place that brings me out of this house. That Berlin is for me not really existing. That only KMS is Berlin. Everything that's happening comes here.
Yeah, wow, that's so true actually. Like me,
and I missed this time so much.
Me, when I came to Berlin, I didn't need to go in. I wanted to stay there because Leo was making music, so I wanted to spy on Leo making music. Or Peter, Peter blasting the studio. It was like amazing, so colorful, and also I have to say back then when we were so young and this, was so different. We were really old friends.
Yes,
there was
a good family.
Like super
We was
pure.
cooking together, smoking together, making music together.
And the feeling that we are like the brotherhood, no? Like we are all connected by this thing,
Psytrance thing,
yeah, exactly. But also
which I miss a lot.
We were like the sect, no? We were like we are like the more hardcore psytrance, and we are like pushing it, and we don't give a fuck.
But we were the, how we say, underground guys.
Yes, exactly. When the underground of the underground.
My studio was a Digital Talk and Asset Syndrome.
Oh,
they made
okay.
a track
in
the same studio that we were sitting.
Oh wow, that's so cool.
I was not ready in this moment to really make this quality of music. It also just happened a year later.
Wow.
Spending a lot of time
figure
out your own style, and then we were the guys who were not really respected from these guys because we made the dark of the dark or whatever. It was different.
Yes.
Than to these guys who was almost not commercial, but they made
it was more full on.
Asset Syndrome was more full on.
Yeah,
Digital Talk, no. Digital Talk was never full on.
100%. Like I have to say him.
But I remember they made a track in my studio, and I was sitting also there like, wow, I was watching the computer, what they are doing.
Oh yeah, they were so original.
And I was never thinking that in this moment that this will happen in this same building.
Yes, yeah. Me also, it's like
what happened in this building is out of...
Man, exactly. Like you understand that for me, I was a witness there, but it was like full alien download. Again, like Phil Collins, the Marilyn Manson community moment, the guy giving me the check in the bank, the studio, and you telling me to hit play. That's another moment that, like I saw the future coming. Again,
Thank you.
So it was really cool, and also specifically, you guys, it's like, yeah, sure, I met a lot of people, but I became friends with you guys there. And even though the music connection was still me as a producer, I couldn't offer much, I went back to Argentina after all of this, and yeah, it was like, okay, now I'm converted, bro, like the Holy Spirit of Dark Side. And there, when we started to make parties again, it was only Dark Side. Like we had a little full because we had a friend, so we always pay him to finish the party. But after that, it was like, if you come to a party, it's massacre time, bro. Like, welcome. And there, when I come back from 2006, Penta came to Argentina, for example, and that was a big influence to Willow Wiz, Pandora's Box, Glossolalia. We continue releasing music. Suddenly our music became a little more like you guys. I remember around 2007 I sent you my first 170 track and you loved it, and you gave it to Peter, and Peter loved it and he sent it to Gil. And I had met Gil in 2005, and he didn't say much when I met him first time, but in 2007 I already had music, so he even played those tracks, and he sent me an email and called me on Skype about 170 that was the first track that I got in his chart also. And you heard the track and you told me, respect, bro, I didn't know you could make shit like this. I thought you make some melodic stuff. You told me so you almost say like, sorry, bro, I thought you were not killer, but this is killer, And I was like, thank you, because I felt it too, that 170 was my first track I did there with Glossolalia. And imagine the first track we sit together, it was in the chart of Gil, you guys listen, suddenly I got Skype call from Cosmo, I got Skype call from Gil about this track, which is not so important, it's not so epic.
No, but it showed
the potential.
Yeah, exactly.
And everyone saw it, and I saw it too for the first time also. Let's say that I was still a little confused how music should be, and there I was like, no, okay, like this, like darker high-tech ideas, like I can bring all these dark ideas to this platform. And I would say that in that time I definitely started to make more like high-tech, but at the same time, like there with all this influence from Boom Festival, from meeting more people, I also realized Forest, and it was like I had listened before, but I didn't get it. And it was only after listening to Derang also in Boom, meeting them personally too in 2007, that I went very deeply into Forest. And there, not only I was doing Megalopsy, I started to do Abyssus together with Pandora's Box. And this was my project to go full into forest. Because I was very happy to like everything and to also keep a connection with what I thought was psychedelic in everything. So I even though I became really close to you guys, I also was very close to the Durango guys as well, and listening a lot of their music. And suddenly I fell in love with the whole scene and the coolest, what I thought was the coolest artist. So there Avisus was very important because in the end I could let go a lot of the ideas that in high tech never fit so much, and I was really thinking about the styles. I really thought, okay, this I should do more high tech, this I should do more forest, and instead of seeing it as the limit, it was more like this game has some rules and I'm going to play by them. Like I remember when I was making music with you in 2007, finally we sit down, you, me and Peter, and we made these 2 tracks that were releasing Lethargic Lesson 1, I think, or maybe 2. And there you were telling me, no bro, like make it killer, like you were shouting at me and like telling me, no, don't put delay because it makes it more slow. Like you had some ideas. Like you were also, I love that in Argentina we were super correct, like some person sits down and you don't talk to them, they're working. And you and Peter were like, like devouring the person sitting in the chair. I saw Peter interrupting Leo, he didn't give a fuck, like I was also there with Kashik as well in that year, and we sit there together. So yeah, you had like, it was not just that you do the music, you had like an idea of how it should be. And this I thought it was very interesting because it was like, okay, no, the psychedelic trance can be many things, but it was so cool that there was like a madman of this style, and I thought that was interesting with you. You had ideas, and also later on they had that. You remember that interview that you made for some weird mystical woman that asked you some questions?
Yes.
And
that's a quite good interview.
Yes. Like I don't remember it for what it was.
It was supposed to be a interview about Guagil, and then I was like, I don't have so much to say about Guagil. I went to his party and I met him a few times, but
okay,
what can I say about him? You must ask him, no?
Interesting.
So then, okay, now we make an interview about you. Okay.
Because there in that interview, you even define one of the basic concepts of high tech, in my opinion. There you say, she asked you, do you put a message in tracks? And then you say, before maybe it was cool, in early days you hear some message and maybe this, makes your trip better. But me now, I do the opposite. I take the sample and I destroy it, and you say, and I try to get rid of the meaning. And get rid of the meaning, it's a deeply philosophical idea. Like I'm using audio, I'm using language, and I'm using technology to change it, to convert it into a musical idea, and where the meaning would bother me because it would remind me of my ego and remind me of words and ideas.
Or it reminds you to political messages. It reminds you to
it would make
real life.
Exactly. And there you discover that you actually,
it's just a nice sound. This is
exactly
what I still did yesterday. No, just today. I recorded some sounds with the friends in the studio, and there was a sampler, and we take some voice, and the more you fuck up the voice and you lose the meaning of what he is saying, the more cooler becomes the sound.
Yes.
The same, like,
and there, for me, you're describing a very, very important aspect of what Dark Side. Psychedelic trance has this idea, but Dark Side went very deeply into it. That this music should help you continuously to forget your ego, and that it should be like high tech. For me, was almost like a machine, like attack to the ego, and the structure and the syntax. And the way you describe it there, even though for you maybe was not so deeply philosophical in the moment, you're just describing how to turn a sample into a sound, for me, it was a very philosophical thing. So then, I became like a scholar of the styles. I would listen to the High Cosmos album, your album, Cosmo Leo, and we would literally like take a part we like and try to replicate it and try to figure out what effects you use for the break, the tones of the FM leads, the rhythmics. I study it like I study anything else, and Martin Losolalia was even directly replicating the tracks. Like, and Mati also, like we were all studying it hardcore, hardcore. Like.
This is really impressive for me because we never was think to the beginning of when I was making music was maybe I was thinking it should sound like I would just call it stupidly Goa now. The first track I made, I take the fucking Reason.
You're trying to do Goa.
And then I take there was 5 demo tracks in Reason.
Okay.
So I take the one that was more like a techno kind of track. So I turn all the buttons, so it sounds like Goa. And then I figured out how to make the timeline longer.
Yes.
So to tell my story.
To make
and
a
for
break.
me, this was the birth of how to make music.
Yes. Yeah. We also started with Reason actually.
But still, in my inside, I knew exactly what I wanted. It was sounding already from my brain. This is...
Yes, you could see the finished idea.
Because I danced so many times, I took so many assets in the influence of the music. So it was for me clear which direction I want.
Oh yeah, me it was like, as we are in Argentina most of the time, it's like I was lucky that I got to see first the real scene, in 2001 when I went to Europe, and then in 2006 when I come and I meet you and I meet the real scene where I can really participate. There it was like, oh, okay, so we really study the style, we really believe in the difference, we really like had long conversations about the tracks and try to capture like what was the essence of it. And I don't know if anyone I know took it so serious. We had like 12-hour discussions of this, like we weren't like.
You showed me also some track 7-8 years ago. You said, look, I tried to sound like Kinshasa. And you played me a track and it was a Kinshasa track.
Yes.
Just like, wow. I was impressed from that, from this knowledge that you can sound like this. Because for me, I thought art is this is like this nurtured. For me, more art is that you try to not sound like something.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
That
me, I came with like the academic point of view totally, and also I was like, man, these guys are enlightened. There's something about it. So I was trying to find out. I was trying to know you. So that's why in a party, I could choose to stand far away from you. But me, even if I was shy, I was young, I took the effort to come closer to you and listen at least to you talk, and maybe I could get in the conversation because I wanted to know everything. I wanted to know how you live. I wanted the reason why you can make this music, like I needed to know. And also because behind the music and behind the person and their life, there is this like higher self that you can perceive in pieces. So me, when I saw you playing first time in Psycho, I saw like the alien Highko behind you, the eternal Highko out of time. I don't know how to explain, man. I couldn't even recognize you when I saw you on stage. For example, you looked was like dark fire and your face and crazy. Like I couldn't look at you, for example, when you were playing the first cycle. It was too much. And the same with Leo, like looking at Leo and trying to get into the bald head of Leo to figure out, the secret of the universe. Because me, I was after the secret of the universe, and if you could do this music, this could bring you,
I understand. I had this similar, with my idols.
Exactly. Me was like, I need to get closer to this knowledge, and these people are closer, and this music brings you closer, and all these things together brings you closer. So then. That's how also like Avisus became, because I needed this space to explore forest, because I also had super trips with it. And then Sigurat, there it's like we can slowly jump to the future. I mean, I started to come a lot to Europe there, and like of course psychedelica became a very important thing in our lives as well, and being part of that. But also me in Argentina, while I was coming in out of Europe, slowly life started to change. Like around 2010 or 11, Matthias' girlfriend got pregnant. So I think already by 2012, Matthias had left. Argentina. And me, around 2009 or 10, Matthias couldn't travel to Europe for like different reasons every time, but also it was expensive and hard to get there.
So just to take you a shortcut, that Megalopsy used to be you and Matthias together.
So like, yeah, how it happened.
So and then how it happened, turned out that you moved to Europe in 2012?
Yes, and he moved first. Like it was like 2009 and 10. For different reasons, Matti couldn't make it to Europe. So that also made a big difference because I started to play here alone. And so it's like slowly Megalopsy became me because I was the guy there in the stage.
Yeah.
But me, I had every intention to continue, but life slowly started to drift us apart in the way that we could actually sit down and make music. First, like these 2 years, I go to Europe alone, so I'm like 3 months in another country. Then we toured together a little, but he couldn't come to Europe. Then 2010 or 11, I think pretty much 11, I think she got pregnant, or maybe 2012. But already when she got pregnant, they moved to Costa Rica. So there me was like already starting my life in Europe, planning to move. But it was mostly Matti's decision to move out of Argentina. Also was the first time that me and Matti had a moment that this we couldn't share. It was the first thing that Matti was on his own, you know. We had done everything together until that point, but slowly wasn't possible, and we started to, also Matti is like a person that needs to make music all the time. So when he was on his own, he started his project already in 2006. He released the first album. Yeah. So Matti also, I think he was a person that forever would need his own space to work. And me, at one point, it was like we focus more on the label and on touring. And then, it was not possible to sit down, but then a lot of the music we did together dissolved into what would be Fractal Gauchos. Because Fractal Gauchos, it was the inevitable project of all of us together, because after 2008-9, that Gaston Willowiz is part of the label, Pandora's Box is there, Glossolalia is there, we started to get together to make music all the time, almost every weekend. So there, Avisus was born. Sigurat became like my solo project to do faster music, because Matti was not...
So now take a list of all your projects that you have.
Okay, so Megalopsy. Megalopsy, it started like a more weird foresty thing that now I would prefer that we are like some...
Let's call it psytrance.
Now I'm going to say it's like dark high-tech. Dark, a hybrid of between high-tech and forest that is dark.
So what is Sigurat then?
Sigurat, I would like to say that it's more like high-tech-ish. You know?
Yeah, but okay.
Like for example, I did tracks with you and I did tracks with Virtuanos.
I understand.
Magic Bike, I would never put Megalopsy there because I feel it's more Sigurat in this idea of like the more fun part. Now with Sigurat, it's going to be anything that is a little faster, and there might be some dark music too, and there is a lot of collaborations I've done with people that can only work in faster BPM. So, you know, I have to do it. You know, like if I make a track with Glossolalia, he won't do a 152, no way. Like, so then 185. So then Avisus is me together with Pandora's Box, which unfortunately in the last years also their life changed a lot. They have family, they both have daughters, they both have normal jobs. So Pandora's Box could never really join us touring, and they kind of faded away, but now slowly every now and then they make something. Yeah. So me, I try to keep it alive, and also there was one point after doing so much high tech and faster BPM that I got really tired of it, like legitimately tired, like I couldn't do it anymore. So then I noticed that if I started all these other projects, that in that time they started just because I was friend with that guy, you know, there was no career moves yet, you know, it was just like, yeah, man, we make music, let's put a name, we have this concept. So there, Avisus was truly 100% like a friendship with the Pandora's Box guys, and there I kept it because I like forest and I believe truly in the broader, more deeper side, like Derango, Prox, and all these things. So that's my idea with Avisus, mostly more like Derango follower. And then with Fractal Gauchos is like everything goes, but since most of us have like a high-tech training, it ends up sounding like a weird comical version of high-tech. Like the Fractal Gaucho set, for example, is all 200 BPM, and there is like old Leo, Vasily, U, Cosmo tracks pitched up to 200 with like Argentina soap operas on top.
Okay.
So like the Fractal Gaucho set is the most non-serious set ever, and people love it for some reason. And also it's done like a parody. It's really, you know, it has your voice, it has Gil's voice, it has Kinsasa's voice, it has like our own making fun of what we thought all the time so serious, and we studied so hard, and we saw it so much like, you know, Highko G, Kinsasa G. There in Fractal Gauchos we make fun a little of ourselves and everyone and the scene in a light-hearted way, you know? Like, for example, that Get Rid of the Meaning, that sample is there, you know.
Okay.
Leo is there too. So, yeah, that will be all my trance projects. I have a lot of music with Martín Losolalia, but probably I wouldn't like make another project. I would just like do like a Sigurat Losolalia EP.
So tell me a short list of all the projects that you have that is called Psytrance.
Okay, so Sigurat, Avisus, Megalopsy, and I'm part also of Fractal Gauchos.
Alright.
And that's it.
So now tell me about your projects that is not Psytrance.
Then I have Prisma that is as old as Megalopsy, or maybe even older in a way, that it has changed styles 1 million times, but we did one compilation that was like, I had the idea to do like a chill out album for dark side freaks. And I think it was a good experiment, an idea, and we did this like, it sounds like forest dub, dark, you know, down tempo, and it's a compilation I did together with two guys from Sweden, part of Sanaton, and the Rango guys are there. And there I like started what would be more like a side dub part, but then I was like, I don't like this side influence in music. So after that album, and luckily for many people, because many people loved it, I never made anything that sounds like trance again so much. Now with Prisma, I'm more involved in something that is in between techno and house and some weird African styles called like kuduro and souk, which end up making a new genre that some people call it a folktronica, which I think it's a very stupid name, but it's the idea of putting like cultural elements from either Africa or Latin America inside techno. So with Prisma I made like many things, but now maybe my biggest achievement ever was like we got released music in vinyl. I finally could have some releases outside of trance, but this happened last year. Like only last year, all this effort that I've been keeping as a side project, I suddenly almost making my main project for the last maybe 2 years. And I had like some small victories there. We released in vinyl together with a famous project called Dengue Dengue Dengue. Exactly. This is called Zenith and Nadir, and it's we're hearing 2 tracks. I'm actually in a track also with Martín Losolalia, and one of the most amazing designs possible, to be honest. And so this big achievement for me to be on vinyl, slowly to play. I was able to play in Fusion, for example, as Prisma. I played in Boom, I played in Osora. When I was in USA, I got the chance to play in quite big stages in Oregon Eclipse also. So suddenly it's like, it's all this side. And to be honest, right now, like if we jump to the future, this project has become very important for me. But if we go back to the history, like 2007 to 2010 or 11 was the golden years of Argentina dark scene, in the sense that, you know, all these producers came at the same time. Willow, Glosso, Dark Prisma became super strong. We made many parties where we booked, for example, we brought Kinsasa, Furious, Kashik, Tchaikovsky. You know, we made proper parties with the killer shit. Polyphonia was there, Sick was there, Alimental was there. So Elemental came later, but from Yeah, 2007 to 2011, it was the mega consolidation of Dark Prisma musically, as friends, as a career, and me, I kept going to Europe all these years, Mati here and there, but finally 2011, the guys start to come too. So there you met Willow Wisp and Glossop, probably in Psychedelica. I need to say something about Psychedelica because Cree, you know, like I met all of you guys, but you guys were doing your thing, you know, and me, I was not asking for help to anyone, you know, I was just trying to connect. But Cree, without me ever asking, he really helped us, you know, he kind of took us under his wing, you know, he made us like the resident for Psychedelica, so me, I played in every Psycho. He asked me to be the priest when they got married, you know, like he saw a lot in me. And even the first Psychedelica I played, he came and he told me, wow, man, he told me like, that was a very psychedelic set, something like this, you know, this guy with the pinhead tattoo that I didn't even know he was the organizer. I thought he was just some crazy freak, you know. And then Cree, man, he, without saying nothing, he was the first person to pay us really proper fee in Europe, you know, to really feel like we were like good, you know, and like we were not good but really good, and like he treated us like something which was still for me a little hard to believe that I was, to be honest. And it was, man, it became our home, no? Psycho always booked us, then we had all this connection with you guys, we could stay. Berlin became my home full power for trance, and also for me was the top shit, no? For me Psychedelica was the top shit, no? Like after Forgotten Ritual that we all met there as well, and it was a big musical download in 2007. Then I think first Psycho was probably 2008, or maybe already 2007.
It was one 2007, I think.
The one that rained a lot,
yeah.
We were not many. And I was since the beginning until it became a huge thing, and we were all there, and you know, it became such a family thing. It was very important, and it changed my life. It gave me a lot, you know. For example, that year of 2009 that we were all together playing, that happened by accident because Highko couldn't make it. That was very spontaneous, true moment, you know, that Peter was really, for no reason, he saw me there. He said, hey man, bring your CDs. And to be there, I was shaking, you know, it was very important. The energy was so high. For me being there, it's a little similar. I'm not going to compare myself to like the epic people of the 60s because maybe it's not the same impact in humanity. But to be in Psychedelica in 2009, it's not so different to have been in Monterrey where Jimi Hendrix was burning the guitar, for example. You know?
I understand what you're saying because
for me it was, you know.
For me, I realized only after, because we kind of built this whole thing together. We were there and we didn't know also with the music that we are doing that this is special.
Man,
we just made some crazy.
I didn't understand how you guys, like when I listened to Leo the first time, how do you feel?
And then only people like you make us realize that they come from Argentina and they come because of this crazy music, that is really so special.
It spread around the world, and it touched the people that were very sensitive. And then, of course, another big epic moment of 2007 was the Sandmine party, you know, that for me, you know, so basically you were celebrating your wedding with Dati, and you made that party on the Sandmine that we talked in the interview before. So yeah, just to share more of my experience there, like first of all, I was tripping out of my ass, and I told you there was a very, very crucial moment that the rain was pouring down, my mind was melting, and Leo was playing Breezer, it's called the track. I remember because I searched for it like a motherfucker, and it was not released yet. And he played this track, man, and he had some crazy, insane break. And me, I was like, in the floor, and you come and you say, hey man, this is not music you hear in any radio, no? And there again, boom, that same moment. Again, you know, like, man, this guy is fucking right. Like, it's like, you told me that, but what you were telling me is like...
But what we did there was, you must say, we had 80 people from more than 40 countries.
Yes, like there was no three guys from the same country. Yeah, for sure.
And it was super energy that you didn't even want to leave, even it was pouring shit down.
Yeah, there was
music didn't stop.
The music never stopped.
Dark Whisper came with the Sato Arepo. They played their first live act in the world with the umbrella.
Yes, exactly. Like they drove all the way from I don't know where.
From Munich.
Yes, like
from Munich to Berlin.
They arrived.
And then it was like the owner, he even came in the morning with this fucking massive bulldozer. And he gave us dry clothes and he gave us cookies and shit.
Really? Wow. Yeah. I just remember seeing the tractor. I didn't know he gave you cookies.
And he was saying, even, man, next time you want to make the party, you call me and I will make you proper...
Yeah, because he can change the terrain.
Yeah. So, but then sadly I called again 2-3 years later and the guy has passed away.
Oh, fuck. I see. No, well, for me, like...
But this party was legendary.
Man, it was, you know, like...
This is not music that you can hear on the radio then, for sure.
This is not fucking music you can hear on the fucking radio. Like, I realized, you know, because I had, you know, read about the 60s movement. I had read about grunge. I had read about hip-hop.
I think also, to be honest, if you have been... I went to this roof 96, 97. And... this what happened there, I thought, dude, this guy's in, when I looked at videos of Woodstock, maybe there was many people, but this was boring shit compared to what I just experienced.
Exactly,
you know,
I had the same opinion. I thought like, this is it, you know, it's happening right now. Like, it's not like it was an opinion. I had the master alien download, you know, like someone came over my consciousness and informed me of what was happening. And the experience got super strong in that sound mind also.
I have an interesting question. Do you think 2020, or say before Corona, whatever, 3 years before, does people have the same blast like we did?
Is it possible to have the same experience?
Or you think that the blast that we had was because of the acid? Or you think because of everything was new?
Of being young, definitely too.
Yes, but the people now, the younger generation is young, so this is not a difference.
Okay,
but do you believe that this is so special for them, like it was for us, that we even make interviews and stuff about it?
Okay, so for me, yes, there are. Like, for example, me, like through the parties of Meeting of the Minds, and a little of my work as a Prisma, I ended up having like volunteers and meeting with a lot of our fans, let's say, just our fans, the people that like our music.
And the new generation.
The new generation, which definitely are like 10 or maybe sometimes 15 years younger than me. And I have to say that it's the same percentage like we do, you know, like it's very little, but they exist and I think they're very young. So
yeah, but we were the same.
It's true, but it's true that we were people that also in Argentina we have an expression that is like te llevas el mundo por delante. It's like you eat up the world, you know, you don't have enough, you cannot wait. It might be possible that a generation that they have everything already on, you know, on the silver plate, because now it's pretty easy, you know, to get music and to go to a party and to know what's going on. Let's say that it takes longer time than before because all the information is there, at least in terms of how to go to a party and how to download some music. And all the young people know how to get it. So is it so special? No, but it's special for them in the moment they find it. It doesn't matter so much for them because for them they are not thinking, oh, you know, it was so hard. For them the experience is, I'm some young guy in West or South Germany.
I mean, just a way to find the Sandmine party. You had to stand on your roof and listen like this in the forest.
Yes.
Where is the sound system? Nowadays you get the pin tone on your WhatsApp and you just follow your GPS.
Yes.
This whole vibes made the whole thing so different.
I have to say that it's a pity that those people can never have the experience. And it's also very funny for me to not be able to relate to the new way of perception that these people have because I notice I'm getting older, you know.
Yeah, maybe it's just very, how you say, like off the time to ask if people have the same.
Exactly, like I would be amazing to find one young guy that we can interview and like directly ask him all these questions.
Yes.
Like me, I had some experience where I talk about the impact of social media, for example, with younger people. and there were many interesting answers from more sensitive people. The same, no, like in the same way that it's hard to find friends in life, and it's hard to find the killer music that satisfies you every moment. Same happens with all the people that follow our music. Many of them just consume it, and it's a product and another thing in life, and they either have like a normal job, and the party is just a party, or some people have maybe one foot in and out, and then there is some freaks that went so crazy into it and now become the new generation. For example, in Brazil, you see some people like that. Many of the new artists of Brazil definitely are people that saw us play, or came to Psychedelica, or they follow the releases from Brazil. But is it the same special thing? Like I don't know. I wish everyone could have a moment like we had there.
I hope also for them, to be honest,
because for me, like, to be on the Sun Mine. So okay, if Psycho was like Monterrey with Jimi Hendrix burning the guitar, what is the Sun Mine, man? I don't even know of an anecdote like that, because it was so private that I'm sure Jimi Hendrix had some crazy acid party where he was playing and people freak out. I'm sure it happened, but I don't know about stories like this. So the Sun Mine, for sure, man, is one of the like more out of space-time moments we generated spontaneously all together there, just because we were in Berlin, because Psycho was coming, because Forgotten Ritter was happening. So that's why the lineup was like Cosmo, Alimental, Kinshasa, Dark Whisper, whoever you like, the top motherfucking cream of possible there. That moment, I don't know how to compare with anything I read in books. And also to be there, to be full tripping, to be welcome, You even asked me in the morning, hey, do you want to play? I was like, bro, no. And you looked me like, like, what's wrong with it? I was like, Highko G, thank you. I didn't know how to say Highko G yet because no India. but I was like, I could realize I'm not even close to the level of the music I was playing. And that's why I made all the music after, that's how because I got schooled, bro, like there.
Tell us about some good and some bad parts of the whole career you have done as Megalopsy.
So yes, yesterday, actually, like you had asked me like what were like my regrets, and I think maybe this is like a better version of the question, because it's like yesterday we were talking long about how I came up to being an artist, and the most positive part of it, like meeting you, getting better in the music, Psychedelica, all these moments that we enjoy so much. And then I had come to the moment where I finally moved to Europe in 2012, and I decided to make it more like a job, the music, and this is something we talk a lot off camera as well, because it was a topic that I was feeling the last 2 years very, very strongly. And so if I would say like the best thing of trance, we kind of already talked, like for me, like the best and most important and priority of trance was always this possibility of having like direct knowledge experiences. So for me, that was the best thing of trance. Not only it made me have fun, it also made me grow. It showed me how the universe works, how life could be. So that's very important, and I love it, and that forever will be the best. And then of course the friendships, the people, the situations where I was being, the possibility to travel. But then I think something I never said many times publicly is how I felt when this turned more into a job. And I would say that there was like a bitter moment for me when suddenly I realized, being an independent artist, you don't have a lot of security, you don't have a lot of insurance, there is not like a real network of support. So then suddenly when I realized that, if you have like a big emergency in your life, being a trance artist gets a little harder. There was a combination of me, of course I meet the person that is going to become my wife in all these years, in the last 5 years. So there also my life got a little more serious, with pressure, with a wedding in Thailand. at the same time Argentina collapsed completely. So suddenly, for the first time in my life, I had also like not a comfortable situation, and I couldn't help much. I couldn't help my mother with my trans salary. So yeah, that was a hard moment, and I was feeling quite bitter, and I couldn't like find the way to feel good about it or accept it, and that made me start to be more conflicted with my love for the music and my love for the people and my love for the scene. So I have to say that I'm very happy that we had this break now, because if we had made this interview last year, I was still in the moment where I didn't figure out like how to deal with all of this. And now with yeah, it's like this pause happened, and it made me realize how much how much traveling all the time like we are doing is not very healthy, and sometimes I cannot really like grow. It's like, to grow you need to be in the same place for a long time so you can see your evolution.
Wow.
And yeah, we never do that for many years. So when I finally stopped this time, on one side I was like, what to do? This was like a big opportunity to decide if I want to continue or not, because the whole scene is on stop. There, I have to say, I had a very real moment where I was like, do I quit it completely? Like, how are you supposed to move on from something you were so long inside? And then luckily, for me, trance always was about the ideas, and the career came second. But then my life gave me pressures that I really needed to work, and I really needed to go to parties I didn't want, and I really didn't have to be in situations I didn't prefer to. So when I started that I was doing all these things, I was like, this is not the real way. So then when this happens, that we need to stop and we cannot work, that's when the stream appeared in my life. And in the beginning, like, I was just doing the stream like everyone else is doing, without such a concept or different idea. Maybe me and Leo, like, we talked, and maybe we're one of the first ones to do a stream in that moment. But after we did a few sessions, I felt I was also again in that loop of making shitty parties. It was like making a shitty stream. I didn't feel like I had so much music that I wanted to show. I felt like if I continued to doing the stream without ever offering something new, it was like a continuous loop of the scene repeating and never improving.
Okay. So now from the stream thing that we had talked about before, also you said that really gave you interest to have contact to the artists, to have contact to organizers, to get on the different point of view from you.
Yes.
To enjoy it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I would say that it was like, if like we are married to the goddess of side trance, it's like I had the passion moment, I had the moment of getting used to and the relation becoming more serious, and then I had the moment of losing a little passion. And with the stream, there was one day that I was really about to not do it anymore. Suddenly I noticed that there was a lot of streams, and I didn't think I had anything different to offer. And then that was the episode where I made my first musical analysis about Dark Side, and I started to turn the show into what is today. And there, on that episode, I got very good feedback. You were there in the chat, many people were there, and I described the original intention of Dark Side. And after doing that episode, I felt very, very different. And I was like I was doing in all the interview, there were a few moments in my life that were important, like Phil Collins, the guy in the check in the bank that gave me, when we first made money as an artist. You telling me this is not music on a radio, you telling me to press spacebar in your studio. So with the streaming, there was another moment, where I understood the possibilities that in the stream I could finally present the scene in the most perfect way I wanted, you know. And to be honest, I said this many times off camera too. I really feel the scene, like the stream is my fantasy of what the scene should be all the time. You know, I wish in every party that I go, the conversations were so deep, and I wish that the people really care so much about the music, and that they were like writing down the names like it happens in our show. I wish it really was like that, that the scene is more about this than blasting and, you know, knocking your head off. I had this download. No, I was like, okay, we can make our own media. We can control again our message. We can go back and focus and make people focus on whatever we want through all this new technology. So for me, the idea was this: like, I use all the tools and technology of the new era of streaming, video gaming, all, because all that we're doing on Twitch normally is very young people, 12, 13-year-olds watching some streamer playing a video game. So my idea of using all these tools was like, I package up, you know, in the same way as every other bullshit is happening right now, you know, with the same aesthetic as YouTube or Twitch, but inside there is a very powerful message, which maybe it takes a long time to connect to or digest. But me, I truly, truly believe that psychedelic trance should be about changing your life and changing and mutating, transforming continuously, like bringing new layers of yourself and to the world. And I think at some point the scene kind of stopped doing that because many of us were more focused on work. And so now with the stream is like really 100% my best description of what I wish that the scene should be like, and also at the same time my biggest attempt to do something that includes everyone, and I can go deeper, you know. For example, with the interviews, I noticed that many times without turning on a camera, it's very hard to go deep with people in this way.
That's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Also, the talks that we had was also very deep.
Yes.
And pre-talks, and without this planning this interview, I wouldn't know so much about you.
Yeah.
Even I know you so many years.
Exactly.
You know?
We never like ask even the most like basic questions to each other, you know, and for me that became very important, because not only we have a very interesting music scene, we also have such amazing characters, you know. For me, it was important to interview you, you know, and because not only for me Dark Side was just the music, but it was the way of living, the attitude, this passion for life, you know, in the same way that the music shows that you need more out of life, you know, that is how your life should be. And yesterday in the Lost video, I mentioned a point that I think it's interesting, like, what should really be the career of a psychedelic trance artist? You know, what should really be the main goal? Like, should a psychedelic trance artist forever do psychedelic trance? Or is psychedelic trance like the stepping stones for you to, you know, grow as a person, and then maybe the whole point is to make different music? So me now it's like, it's interesting, no, to reach maturity in what we are doing, because it's very new, you know. We are definitely
also, especially this moment. I mean, who knows for who we're making music, if we make music now.
Exactly.
If we're gonna play the music next year, maybe in 2 years, maybe.
Yes.
Who knows really what's gonna happen? So it's really a hard decision on this point. Also, when you don't have any money to pay your rent.
Yeah, exactly.
So what to do, no? So
this will be like it will decimate the scene, you know. Many people will go out of it after this moment, and also everyone needs to revalue again. So for me, first of all, me right now in this moment, we are in Germany, and luckily it's a good country for this situation. So me, when I was watching the whole world go crazy and desperate and trying, you know, to get a fixed position, I really like the idea of the stream more like a healing thing and a more positive thing, you know, like the whole world is going down, but okay, at least we're doing this thing together that is positive, that is trying to put together something that we love, that is so complex and has so many parts. So yeah, for me the stream became very important, you know. First of all, to set up a territory for us to exist, and also to finally put back the focus, and I would love, you know, like my fantasy of the experiment is that it becomes trendy and fashionable to be a nerd about information again, you know,
Yeah.
through all these tools. So yeah, it's an experiment to try to modify and affect the media of our own scene and create it. And
Even if it's not the entertainment for the moment now, for the live streaming, it's a good thing that you was mentioning also that you're planning to make this documentary. Even though all these interviews that you have made now are recorded, you know, and this is history, and you recorded really good people to have a good collection of information, you know.
yeah,
So it for sure made sense on one point, because I don't know, in 20 years the kids, they might still listen to this music and they know what happened to it. Or
yeah, it's true. Actually, I forgot. Yeah, that the idea exactly is that we want to put all this together to try to do a documentary, and that is for sure what I think. I know that many people know me because of music, and maybe I gave a lot in that way, but I still think this documentary and this that I'm doing right now is like the biggest love letter that I will write, you know, to this scene for forever. Also because I do feel that I'm a little with one feet out, you know, because also, well, with all my releases and all my future plans, there is a little the idea of going out of trance also as well, because I work very hard on Prisma in the last 2-3 years. So I also have a big wish to have a, you know, another side of music that I go fully into, like I went with trance. So right now for me the perspective was, you know, to become like a journalist and a historian for the scene, and also to use all this platform to be able to click in you guys' head, you know, and go deeper. And it's like I was trying to do this all the time, you know, like all these years, and I could never find a way, to be honest. I always wanted this, you know. That's why I got more closer to you, you know, because you were someone in the party that suddenly got the full download and started to talk and explain how killer a track was or a moment was, or, you know, I remember you describing like, yeah, I had tears in my eyes when I saw something that was so beautiful. So that same level of intensity is what made me stay in the scene all these years. I did notice that as we grew older, it kind of winded down in all of us, and also it became more a job. And me, I want to remain in this scene because of the love and the passion for it, and not just because it's a skill that I have. And that's very important, I think. That starts to happen with many projects, I think, and you can hear it in the music sometimes too. You know, it's like, okay, I know how to do it, but I don't care anymore.
yeah, sure.
And so yeah, that, let's say that with the stream, that's like my final answer is like, yeah, it's definitely my biggest intention to affect the scene in a positive way. It's also a very big love letter, and, you know, thank you to all these people that I interviewed and for everything we have done, and also to get us ready for the next step. You know, it's not like, this is the last step. I hope in 20 years there's another guy like me that feels also like to continue the next part of the story, you know, because for me it's not like, this is the definite documentary that explains everything. It's just mostly, I really want to end all the fucking, this is psychedelic, this is not, you know, high BPM is psychedelic or it's not. I want to end all those divisions and finally like give a common shared space for all the scene to stop killing each other a little bit with, I don't know, in internet it became a little toxic, you know, these memes and people like criticizing each other for what they like. It's I mean, I thought we were done with it. It's 2020. It's fucking corona and there's still people saying that psycho is not psychedelic. You know, like, for me, that was very important too, to provide a inclusive, non-reductive way of analyzing and defining what we do. And yeah, no, that will be pretty much my idea for the stream.
So your stream is mostly based on dark psy, high tech, forests, psycho, or the underground, I would call it. Would you also make some interview with roots of psytrance, for example, like some full-on act or something?
It would be very interesting, but I think I'm very proud to say, at least the beginning of this project, we are the dark side, guys talking about dark side. Then maybe it would be very funny to bring one of those guys and see what they think about us.
Because in the end of the day, that you said psycho is not psychedelic, some people say. Mm-hmm. The same way around.
Yeah.
Like we also actually just got introduced to the music because of this kind of music.
Yes, that's a very good point actually, and it would be fun to, for example, if we asked Tristan what he thought of us. For example, we asked a few times, like in Osora or in bigger festivals, we got the chance to talk with some bigger artists, and every now and then they give us their opinion. I have heard most of the time quite negative, especially because of the BPM. They don't like it.
Yeah.
But I would love to have one guest from the full-on scene. I would love to have one guest, that is important from the full-on scene. Like I sent an email to Raja Ram, for example, and he didn't. He actually replied me almost immediately, which I thought, wow, that's really cool. He fucking replied to me. Nice. But he said very, very politely that no, that is not his thing. And so then, like, what I would love to do to finish the documentary in a more rounded way would be to try to talk with the people that are more closer to us and probably the ones maybe more willing to do an interview. Like, for example, Nicolas Megalopsy, he used to be a dark side guy that became progressive. So that will be an interesting interview. I would love to talk with Sentient, with the guy from, the master of dark progressive, to see what he thinks, because many people talk about him in interviews. Many people. So then, it would be amazing to try to have the most well-rounded, but definitely the documentary it's like from the dark side freaks to the dark side freaks.
Sure, and
it's like 100%. Yes. And someone has to do it. There has to be there has to be some documentary where the Sandmine pictures are there and Psychedelica from 2009 is there, and then I have to say also that I believe that there was something different in the pre-social media scene. There were not so many pictures of the event, so one picture would become epic. There wouldn't be so many videos of the same event. So there would be one video, like the video of me and the guys playing Psychedelica or shit like that. So for me, hopefully, with the YouTube and the stream and the documentary, I am generating that, and in a multiple way, many of those moments finally put together, which, I truly believe that psychedelic trance should be about like really seriously taking a ultra big deep dive inside you and really fixing all your fucking shit and really improving fractalically until you die, and if the music is not inspiring you that, it should be the scene or it should be the vibe around it, or and if at one point the scene doesn't give you that, then I truly believe that there should be more things after for a psychedelic person after trance. So I'm in that point now where the stream is like my final study on a very long study, like in the same way I was, copying the breaks of your tracks. Now I'm doing the same again with everything that was my life for the last 18 years. Like at this point, half of my life has been this.
No.
Which is pretty fucking crazy also.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Like really, I started 18 and now I'm 36. without stopping. I don't remember ever a moment that I said, let's stop,
What is going on with the label and the future plans now in the Corona times?
Okay, so this is important because we haven't posted much on our Prisma, so that's why I wanted to mention. To be honest, right now with our Prisma, we don't know what to do. Of course, printing CDs is gonna be hard. I mean, probably, maybe we'll never do it again. After this situation right now, printing a CD maybe won't happen. For sure, we have a lot of music, but at the moment it's like probably we will end up releasing music somewhere else because maybe there's opportunities to get a fee for the track, or maybe some of us are working in mastering or mixing. So it's like everyone made like this. So the idea with our Prisma is for sure to continue somehow, of course with some digital release for now, but at the moment it's very hard to say, the next release will be this.
I have the same problem with the Corona. I have 3 albums ready.
Oh wow!
One with Helder, the Highwa.
Oh okay.
One with the other friend, Aggressive Mood.
Yes.
And one my solo album, which were ready to release this summer, but now since Corona we stopped the plans. We think to maybe make some EP here, some EP there.
And also now it's like
difficult for
there is like 600 releases every week, quarantine EP, quarantine sessions. So it's a little hard. Me right now, for now, it's like we're gonna focus, let's say, on our own things that we can have closely, and at some point, of course, there will be some release. And me, to be honest, this year I'm gonna take the opportunity to work very hard on Prisma. And last year, I was featured in this release with Dengue Dengue. So definitely, I would say that the first release that people will see from me maybe will be not trance.
Okay.
Very possibly from Prisma, and then I would say from trance, Avisus is the one that is more present right now with me. Also because one of the guys from Pandora's Box is more active, so we're working together online. And then I have 1 million tracks with many of the people from their Prisma. So hopefully, I guess it will be something like that. Try to maybe do an EP with some of these tracks that I made the last years. I had a serious plan to do an album, to be honest. But now I really still want to do it, but I need to think and discover a new way to make it look cool without spending a couple thousands of euros that we never get back. So let's say that for now, to be honest, the stream also took a lot of my energy, and it's new and interesting and fun, and it's like there is something going on with the stream. With the music, not so much.
Exactly.
So
now it's more about the music.
It's funny, I like the possibility that I could transform myself, and I didn't know I could pull it off. I didn't know I could interview Gil, for example. I started to do it without having a clue, and now I think I found a way and a direction, and I'm very happy to have discovered this, because to be honest, I don't know what the fuck else I would have done all this time. So I'm very happy that I have the stream and the music. I'm gonna take it very lightly and as it comes, and definitely Prisma is gonna be a big thing for me this year.
I'm very curious to hear Prisma soon.
Cool, man. Thank you very much also for taking the time to do the interview and clicking in my head.
No, cool. I see you interviewing everyone, so I offer to do the same with you. No problem.
Cool, man.
So thanks for the interview and everything.
Yeah, thank you, Highko. And that's it, guys. We finally did it. So thank you, Highko, again. Bye bye.
Bye bye.